everybody. Welcome back to Trajectory, a student success podcast. We're very excited to be sitting down today with Adam Raules-Godoy. This is a first gen focused episode, so we're going to be connecting with Adam about their first gen narrative through high school, through UMass, and where they're at with it now. So, Adam, welcome.
Thank you for having me. I'm so
Absolutely.
excited. I'm Adam Raules-Godoy. I am currently a junior, gonna graduate a semester early, so next semester is my last semester here at UMass. I'm majoring in pre-vet and bio and minor in bio. And then on campus, people say I'm active. I don't think I am. I feel like I should do more. But I'm a part of several clubs. I'm part of one of the university's biggest agencies, UPC, University Programming Council. Um, I'm president of FLIP, First Generation Low Income Partnership. Um, then I'm also part of a honor fraternity called Phi Sigma Pi. It's like a gender inclusive honor fraternity.
Mm.
And then I work around campus. As an intramural ref. I referee volleyball. Then I work off campus at the Mullen Center as just an event staff during the weekends. Then I'm a residential assistant for first years.
Yeah, you're not involved at all. No, you're not doing anything around campus.
I feel like I do so much more.
You gotta give yourself some credit.
I know.
Yeah. It does sound like you're really engaged with the campus community in some meaningful ways. And I'm excited a little later to talk more about that. But I think I want to start with what your experience was like as who you are and as a first gen student when you were, like junior, senior year of high school, or maybe even sophomore year, when you were starting to consider college, and then when you were applying to college. Can you walk us through a little bit of what that was like?
So going into high school, I was going to like a public school. I'm from New Jersey, Belleville, New Jersey. Shout out to my town. um, but I was going to this public school. It's not a huge public school. It's not the best public school around, but it was a public school to me, a high school that I really enjoyed. And I was going into it knowing that of course, I wanted to do as best as possible academically, just because I knew my plan was to go to college. That's what my parents always wanted me to do is go to college, get schooling. That's the reason why they came to the United States. It was my brother and I to go to college. So in the family, my brother was the first graduate. He went to Montclair State University. So I was up next. So they wanted me to go even further. So from my thinking process of going to college, like of what I wanted to do, I always wanted to do something with animals. So I just can't see myself in a different working environment, either in like a cubicle or like an engineer or anything media based or business, something like that. I have to be working with animals. So I already knew that since I was like born. So going to this process of college, no one really helped me, I guess. My brother kind of was familiar with it because he did it beforehand. Like for FAFSA, I remember my school did like a FAFSA workshop, and like I attended. I told my parents to attend, but unfortunately, because of work, I understand like they wouldn't be able to do. So I went by myself. So I had to do that by myself, try to learn myself. So I know how to do the FAFSA by myself. For schooling, I didn't want to stay in New Jersey. That's the one thing I didn't want to do. I wanted to branch out. My brother really encouraged it. I gotta thank my brother for it. He told me like if you get into these schools, like you support you no matter what, because he wants the best out of you. So I was really excited to not stay in New Jersey because I lived there for all my life. So I'm really excited to be in Massachusetts. I love this state. And then when it came to actually applying for the schools or which schools to apply for, it was pretty much just I just googled a lot of you can Google everything nowadays. I
Yeah,
just Google like best animal programs in the United States, and then UMass was like top three. So I applied here, got in luckily for a year.
amazing. Well, congratulations for being here. I think that
Thank
even
you.
though you are a second semester junior, that's still worth saying. Um, and there are a couple of points that you mentioned that I think I want to focus in on. The first is what you described as your parents coming to the United States in order for you and your brother to go to college. I want to, I think, ask if you felt pressure or if you felt honored to have that opportunity, or maybe a mix of both.
Good question, because I ask this myself all the time. I think it's definitely a mix of both. Of course, when it comes to honor, there's always pressure when it comes to honor to anything. So of course, what I did in high school is or now actually is because my parents, because my dad didn't finish high school. They're from both from Ecuador. He didn't finish high school. My mom got a degree in Ecuador, but that doesn't translate here.
Mm.
Um, so when I go to college, I love talking to them, saying like, "Oh yeah, I just did this today in class," or like, "I went to this lab." Like today, I'm probably gonna call my parents today. Like today, I did my reproduction lab, and I ultrasounded a pregnant sheep. So
Cool. Wait,
so
that's so cool.
so like that, my parents, I love hearing my voice, my parents' voices. Like, wow, that's so cool.
Mm.
It just brightens my day because it's like I wish I could show them this. I wish they were there to do it with me.
Yeah.
So that's the experiences that I do now. That's why I love being involved in all these things because I know my parents would do the same thing. So like
Mm.
I love experiencing them. Like last year, UPC does the spring concert for Jack Harlow last year, and I was backstage with them. I took pictures of all the artists. I was showing my parents that they don't know who Jack Harlow is,
Yeah.
but they're like, "Wow, you took a picture with like a famous person." I was like, "Yeah." So those experiences, even academically wise, they say like as long as you're doing well, they're still proud of me in any sense. But I try to live. I like to. They don't like to say it, but they don't like to live through me. But I want them to because I want to give them the experience that they couldn't have.
Oh, that's really beautiful and heartfelt. Yeah, it sounds like exactly that. It's less maybe that they didn't have this opportunity, so now there's so much pressure on you to have it, but more like they didn't have this opportunity. You have the opportunity, and you can kind of take them along for the ride as much as possible, which I think is really shows a deep connection to your parents that I think I want to highlight because it's beautiful.
Thank you, but I don't want to like sugarcoat it a bit because there's definitely pressure.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I thank them to not like put pressure on me. But I think I put pressure for myself on because that's what my brother tells me all the time. Like you're very hard on yourself and all that
Mm.
sorts of goodness. But the pressure is that of course, because I want them to experience it, because I want them to be proud of me, I put the pressure on myself. So if something goes wrong or I get like a bad grade or like this didn't, it, how can I say this? It didn't expect what I wanted. Like
Hmm.
the expectation was not there in reality. So like I get hard on myself saying, "Dang, I didn't deserve that," or like
Mm.
I could have done more. Like that's what I always say to myself. You could have done more, but in reality, that phrase doesn't make sense because you could always do more. In
Sure.
any sense.
Something you mentioned when we contacted you about an interview, you wrote a little bit to us about what you're connected with in the community at UMass and sort of what your experiences have been. And you mentioned this idea of self-awareness. So you talked about being self-aware enough to know what you could and couldn't handle and how to balance your academic workload. But I thought it was really amazing that you use that idea of self-aware instead of like, oh, I learned how to manage my time or I learned how to keep expectations in check. Because self-awareness, I think, reflects a deeper understanding of and compassion with the self that is difficult to cultivate. So I want to ask you a little bit about where that came from, how you cultivated it. Was it trial and error? Did people help you along the way in this journey of like better understanding yourself?
Great question again. So I it was the beginning of my sophomore year when I actually was living on campus. I wanted to do everything. It was my first time being on campus, so I was like I joined rugby, loved doing that. I was part of UPC. I was part of the pre-vet animal science club. I was rushing another frat. Then I was doing. I'd like to play like volleyball on the side. Try doing that. Um, I was just overwhelmed with my social life and all these extracurriculars. Then school came apart. That was a whole nother um, world. So I was overwhelmed at points, but it wasn't like I knew I could have done it if I managed my time. But it wasn't because was I doing those things because I like to keep myself busy, or was I doing it just just to put on my resume. So being
Mm,
self-aware was like of course I enjoyed doing rugby and stuff. It just wouldn't fit in my schedule. It wasn't worth my time. It would just I'd rather um, focus on my time somewhere else. Focus on more school, focus more on my clubs, focus on more of that stuff. And being able to know what you are being able to, what your abilities are able to do. And of course that you like enjoying to do. You're not gonna do stuff and put your 100% effort on stuff that you don't enjoy. So I think that's what I like to do by self-aware. And then now I with the clubs I'm in part of now, with the things I'm part of on campus, I feel more secure, I feel more comfortable, and I feel what's potential. Like I feel like my potential is getting greater.
mm.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it totally makes sense. I think like when you find the places where you're at home, when you find the places where different kinds of interests inside of you align, then it
Mhm.
feels less like you have to give your energy there and more like you want to give your energy there. And it also, it, I think, is empowering. I think it brings a kind of self-confidence of like, yeah, this is where I can make a difference. This is where I have meaning. This is what I'm connected to because of my past experiences, because of what I'm just passionate about, interested in, because of where I want to go in the future. But I think that that process of trial and error, figuring out not only what fits in your schedule, but what fits with your heart. Because if something fits with your heart, it's not going to feel like a burden on your schedule.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's what I want to bring up to the trial and error part. I'm a big thing in trial and error. Make mistakes. Make as many mistakes as you can, because that's the way you just learn. I know what works for me now for studying wise, for anything social, anything that what stresses me out. I know what to do to just if something doesn't work out, just take a deep breath in. Breathing is one of my biggest things now. Just it's good to just do a little cleanse breath. I learned that in yoga like I think 2 weeks ago.
Oh, nice.
So, I'm always a person who like I understand if you try something, at least you tried it and now you know like that's not for you. You're never gonna like you're gonna regret not being like not knowing if you like that.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. You should never regret figuring out that something wasn't for you.
Mhm,
Like you're saying, you should never regret failing. Failing is a
mhm,
part of learning. It's a part of learning about the academic and career world that you want to pursue, but it's such an important part about of learning about oneself. And I'm excited to talk to you about your role as president of Flip. You know, for folks listening who might not know what Flip is, if you could give us a rundown of who you guys are and what you do.
of course. So Flip is just UMass's first generation partnership. It's pretty much a community representing first generations and low income families or students or transfers. But my reason of going in was because I was as a first gen student as a freshman. I really didn't know I didn't know a single soul at UMass. So I feel like I needed to find a community so I could relate to, easy to like join in, knowing that we're all part of this one small community. But my freshman year, I was due to COVID, I was home. So everything was virtual. I didn't really meet anybody person to person. It was pretty much just we had a Discord and we did text and video call. So as a sophomore, was the first time I was actually on campus and I met like the people, I met like the students, a part of the other members, a part of the club. That's when like it was going from just meetings to just having meetings turn into just a space for us to do work, space for us to like help each other grow. If we have any questions about college or a class, but of course we came with one another saying like, hey, like how did you do this? Or like where can we go find the answer to figure out figure this out. So that's pretty much for now. That's the space I want to create. I want a space for any student who is first gen low income transfer, any student who wants a community of hardworking people who know that if they have an idea in their mind, they themselves can do it. They could definitely bound together and get a solution to the problem. but then themselves could be independent and do all
Mm. Mm. I think you're speaking to a really powerful uh, phenomenon that happens when you are in community with people who share common experiences and um, a common struggle and also a common celebration, is that being in that community empowers you to be the best version of yourself and the most effective version of yourself, right? And I think that knowing that you have this community behind you allows you to be more independent, because you know that there's a group of people that you can ask stuff of, that you can process with, or just a group of people that you can sit in space with and even not talk or just study and know that you are in a place where you are welcome. And so you're a second semester junior. You have half of the semester left and then one more. Is that right?
Correct. Correct. Because next year is technically my fourth year, my senior year, and I'll be graduating in the fall 2023.
What are your big plans? Like what do you want to get out of this next semester and a half? I know it's a loaded question, right? Because especially you started the interview being like, I don't do enough. I could be involved in so much more. And then you went on to list, I don't know, like a million things that you're involved in. But we do like to ask, especially students who are coming close to graduation, like, what's your vision? What do you want to get? What difference
So,
do you want to make? Yeah.
so of course, my goal is as a pre-vet major, I want to be a veterinarian. So with with that being said, I need to apply to vet school. So that's the main goal, and I think that's the only goal that I want to make. So I always told myself that I wanted to be a doctor in some sense, like doctor of veterinary medicine. What can be at best? So I can't imagine like a better career goal. I'm fine with taking my time. There's no rush to go into it. I'm only 20 years old. There's no rush. There's no pressure on me on that. So it's going to get done. So that's my plan.
Yeah. I think that's a really good mindset to have, that there is no rush. Um, Something I usually like to close out with is asking about advice that, especially for our older students, you would give to younger students. You already dropped some like advice bombs throughout this interview. So I think I want to ask it a little different. Instead of what advice would you give to younger students, what advice would you give to younger you?
Everything I can't stress it enough. Like everything's gonna happen for a reason. There's good karma and bad karma. Just follow your path, trust your intuition, trust yourself mostly, and then everything will work out for you. You know, no matter, I can't like stress that enough. Because of coming as a first generation student and coming as low income student, it's easy to compare yourself with others who has a parent who's a doctor, who's already has money, people who went to high schools that are technical schools, known to be nationally ranked. It's very easy to compare yourself with others. So I think the best advice we're giving is just focus on yourself, focus on your path, trust yourself that you could lead yourself to the not goal, but to the future you want to live.
Yeah, and you're doing it.
No, thank you.
You are. You are. I mean, at the very least, you are trusting yourself. Like, proof is in the pudding, I think. Your success at UMass, everything that you're involved in, and the fact that you've carved this path for yourself, by yourself. You did trust yourself, and it shows.
Thank you so much. That's so sweet.
Yeah, totally, Adam. It was really meaningful to connect with you today, especially about your specific narrative. And I think it's going to reach a big audience of first gen folks who are listening. So thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much. And I would love to just shout out like my parents, my brother, Carlos Raules, my little two girls back home, Lily and Zoe. My sister-in-law now, Sherry. Yep, my brother and sister got married last year. And then the bubble town. Ooh, I feel like I'm famous.
Well, you did meet Jack Harlow, so
for like 2 minutes.
Listen, 2 minutes of fame. That's all it takes.
True.
One day, Jack Harlow is gonna have a sick pet, and you are going to be
Oh,
there.
that's very true. That's
Yeah.
very true. Thank you so much.
Yeah, totally, Adam. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your story with us, Adam. We hope that it resonated with all of our first gen student listeners out there. If you have a story that you'd like to share with us, please let us know. You can email us at studentsuccess@umass.edu or DM us on Instagram at successumass. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time.